Dubai as a city is booming, and it is now being considered a major city alongside London, New York and Paris. With Dubai now set as a global hub in relation to the world map, it is becoming very attractive to expats, not only for the location, but the lifestyle it offers. Today we're going to have a look at how real estate compares to these major cities when looking at price per square foot, your investment opportunities and what yields they have to offer. Let's start with price per square foot across these cities to get an idea of what the pricing looks like. So, Dubai itself is sat at 1,866 dirhams per square foot. Dubai as a city at the moment is not that large. If you are driving, you can get from one side to the other within around 45 minutes. However, despite this, we do see a massive differences in the prices across the areas. So at the higher end, we would see just under 6,000 dirhams per square foot, and on the lower end, just over maybe 900 to 1,000. So looking now at London, London does have a larger population than Dubai, and the area is a little bit more vast. However, the average price per square foot here sits at just under 3,300 dirhams per square foot, so substantially higher than Dubai. In central prime locations, you can see this rise up to around 6,500 to 7,300, for example. So obviously, London itself is a much more mature market compared to Dubai. For example, Dubai has only been there for the last 30 years really in terms of the buildings, and London has been there for hundreds of years now. So it has that long-term attraction. Obviously, we've seen the prices rise over time. New York offers a similar appeal to London. It's very fast living in the city. The units tend to be a lot smaller, obviously meaning that the price per square foot is pretty high here, also at 3,600 dirhams per square foot. In the more luxury areas of New York, you can see the prices go from 7,700 as high as 9,500 dirhams per square foot. So again, this is of course one of the major attractions across the world, and I don't think Dubai is quite at the level of London or New York, but I feel like it's on the way there. New York has a high level of tourism and a great population as well. Last on the list, and the most expensive, is Paris at 4,800 dirhams per square foot on average. In different luxury zones, you can see this go from 6,600 dirhams to 7,800. Again, Paris is similar to the other cities, a lot of crammed apartments, so you're looking at small units at really high prices, meaning the price per square foot, of course, is really high here. So when you compare Dubai in terms of affordability and pricing versus these other cities, then it vastly outperforms them. You're looking at almost 2.5 times the price per square foot in Paris versus Dubai. So you're going to get a lot more value for money. You could see yourself here in a townhouse or villa, for example, rather than a small apartment in London, Paris or New York. So rental yields. This of course is an interesting one, as the property, if you're looking for yourself, it might just be purely for investment. So what can you get back from it? Also, you might be here shorter term, so you might want to stay in it for a few months, and what will you see back in the remaining months? Well, Dubai currently sits at one of the highest globally at 7% on average, and you can see highs of around 10% in some areas. This is due to the volume of people currently moving to Dubai. So in Q1 of 2025, we've seen 1,000 people moving to Dubai every day. We've also seen a population increase of 55% over the last 10 years. With this in mind, developers in Dubai have had to deliver a lot of off-plan projects to help supply housing. However, Dubai is still very much behind on this, meaning currently there's not enough housing, which of course increases the prices because the demand for these central locations is very high. With a lot of people moving in the last 5 to 10 years, of course it takes a little bit of time to save up for their property long term, so they're forced into long-term rentals, meaning that demand for these is so high. So if you are an investor, you will be achieving a great yield on your property. So now looking at London, New York and Paris yields. These are all at a very similar level, around 2.5 to 4.5%. This is due to the fact that these cities are very established and there's not quite as much demand as there is in Dubai because there's not the same amount of people moving over. So London sits at 3 to 4%, New York at 3.5 to 4.5, Paris 2.5 to 3.5. So despite all of these locations still being major cities and highly demanded by tourists, a lot of the properties that they have are now built in, so there's not as much demand. So the next thing to consider is ownership and rules. So For example, is it going to be freehold or leasehold the property? What's the tax situation? And also, is it going to be a simple and efficient purchase? So to begin with, the majority of properties are freehold here in Dubai, also the same in New York and in Paris. However, London, especially for flats, tends to be leasehold properties. So do definitely check this before making your purchase on if it's freehold or leasehold. Next up is taxes. So here in Dubai, you don't have any capital gains tax or any other taxes involved when buying the property. However, in London, New York and Paris, you will have taxes. So in London, you'll have stamp duty. In the US, you'll have property tax and of course, capital gains tax as well, which is probably the biggest killer. In Paris, you have high property and wealth taxes across the board. So in all three of these other major cities, you're going to be penalised on your profits and when entering the market. Here in Dubai, with a lot of property transfers going on, the system that they have in place are very good. So you can actually transfer properties sometimes in a matter of days. If you have a cash buyer and a cash seller, this can be done and transferred to the new owner in a matter of days. So on review, when looking to enter the market and exit the market, you will often have taxes in the other major cities. You won't here in Dubai, along with the easy process that you have buying it. It's a very seamless approach. So now a little bit away from the properties and their values themselves, how about the lifestyle of each city? So Dubai itself is super safe. It's one of the safest cities in the world, along with having a luxury lifestyle, and it's super clean. To add to this, you have no personal income tax, which means you can really enjoy your lifestyle while you're here. So with all the other cities, they will have a slightly higher cost of living in terms of the apartments because they are more expensive. What London has to offer is it has a lot more greenery than Dubai does. Dubai has a few parks. However, it is a lot of sand and a lot of buildings going on at the moment. So London has that greenery, the parks, the heritage, and everything else at the moment also. So it will have the restaurants, the bars, everything that you need. New York is very energetic and vibrant, of course, and has a lot to offer in terms of a tourist or city living. Similar to Dubai and London, however, again, you do have the cost of living here with the second highest price per square foot on the list here. Paris itself has, again, all the beautiful restaurants, all the spots to go out at night. So you do have that city living, urban feeling to it. Adding to this, it does have the excellent architecture and some beautiful buildings. All of the cities will offer similar benefits here, and it is a case of what works best for you. However, do keep in mind the pricing, again, for a similar experience is much less in Dubai currently. Now looking at the long-term potential investment. So Dubai has increased its price per square foot by 63% in the last 5 years. A lot of growth has happened in the market here. Again, this goes back to the amount of people coming and moving over. A lot of people review this as a bubble or something that will stop as such. Personally, I feel like it may slow down a little bit, which we've seen as the market is much more mature than it ever was, and there's a lot more people here. However, the population is still growing, so we will see an increase. The growth here is maybe not quite what we would expect from a major city. However, we can put this down to the regulation and politics that have been implemented here in the last 5 years. This has potentially affected the market. The US as a whole is very sensitive to interest rate shifts in terms of the market. You see a lot happen on the back of this. However, New York is very resilient. Across the board, it has seen 14% growth. Areas in particular have massively varied here. However, we have still seen 14% growth as a whole. So Paris is the only one on the list here that has decreased. It's went down 10 to 13% in the last 5 years, and many feel like this is a correction in the market. Prime districts have held up well here and have slightly grown at 7%. However, there has been rising taxes, which is likely why we have seen the decrease. As we've seen here, Dubai has massively outperformed other major cities, due to the population growth being the main driver for this. On review, Dubai definitely offers the cheapest price per square foot currently and the most likely to appreciate in the future. However, we do understand that other major cities here still offer an excellent lifestyle, but just at a more expensive price. If this has made you either want to move to Dubai or potentially invest in the market, then there's plenty more videos on this channel that you can click above. However, to find out more information directly with me, click on the link below.